met Sophie in the book Sophie's Terrible Twos. We already know a little bit about her. We know that she's 2 years old, and sometimes she's a little bit naughty. Sometimes she doesn't do the right things. What else do we know about Sophie? Well, because we know about Sophie, we can start to make some predictions about how she might act in this book, which is called Time Out for Sophie. Time out, it's when we take some time away from everybody else to think about something that we've done. Something that maybe we should have done differently. Oftentimes, children and even grown-ups take a time out to think about our choices and to see how we could fix them. As I read, I want you to be listening for a choice that Sophie makes that might not be the best choice. Time Out for Sophie by Rosemary Wells. Time Out for Sophie, Rosemary Wells. Sophie's mama made Sophie a beautiful supper. Yum, yum, said Sophie. Good, Sophie, said Sophie's mama. Then Sophie threw her supper on the floor. No, Sophie, said Mama, no throwing supper. Mama tried again. Cookie, said Sophie. Time out for Sophie, said Mama. So Sophie had a time out. What choices did Sophie make? In your opinion, do you think she made the right choices? Do you think she deserves that time out? Why? You know, the behavior she was doing, definitely for toddlers. Definitely not for students that are getting ready for first grade. Right? Students getting ready for first grade, they listen to directions the first time? Yeah. Sophie's only 2. She's not doing that yet. She needed that time out to think about her choices. It was Daddy's turn to fold the laundry. Helping, said Sophie. Good, Sophie, said Daddy. Daddy hung the socks on the line. But when Daddy wasn't looking, Sophie pushed the whole pile of folded laundry onto the floor. What kind of choices is she making now? Daddy folding laundry again, said Sophie. No pushing over the laundry, Sophie, said Daddy. But Sophie pushed all the laundry onto the floor again. Time out for Sophie, said Sophie's daddy. Do you think she deserved that time out? Me too. That wasn't a good choice. So Sophie had another time out. Read a book, said Sophie. Please, said Sophie's granny. Please, said Sophie. Granny read Sophie a story. Why did Sophie's granny say please? When you ask an adult to do something for you, you should ask, not tell them to do something for you. And you should ask nicely. Always use your pleases and thank yous. It looks like Granny was going to read that book. But then Sophie grabbed Granny's glasses off her nose. "No grabbing glasses, Sophie," said Granny. Sophie's making some choices again. Are they good ones or bad ones? Sophie did it again and again. "Time out for Granny," said Granny. "No time out, Granny. No time out." Why did Granny get a timeout? Did she make choices that she shouldn't have? I wonder why Granny gave herself a timeout. Sophie put Granny's glasses back onto Granny's nose. And there was no throwing. There was no pushing. There was no grabbing. "Good, Sophie," said Granny. "Good, Sophie," said Sophie. The end. How did Granny change Sophie's behavior in that book? What did Granny do that changed the way that Sophie was acting? Yeah, when she gave herself that time out, Sophie didn't get a book read to her because Granny was timing out herself. And Sophie didn't like that. And Sophie decided to change her behavior. If we were going to read another book about Sophie by Rosemary Wells, I wonder, how do you think Sophie might act?